Have you ever thought, are my binds holding back my skill level? Should I actually swap my binds? And how would I even know what binds I should be swapping? Well, in this video, I'm gonna be answering all of those questions. I'm gonna be showing you guys a full quiz that you can do that will allow you to figure out exactly what binds are the issue and how to fix those binds. Then I'll be running you through how you should go about optimizing your binds so you can be playing to your absolute performance without having a massive drawback. Then I'm gonna be showing you guys a full practice routine that you can do as soon as you swap your binds to get back to your skill level as fast as possible. So let's get straight into this with the quiz. Now, the biggest issue with binds and trying to figure out what are the best binds for you is everybody has different binds and everybody has different issues with their binds. So I decided to go ahead and make a full interactive quiz that you guys watching this video can follow along with. Feel free to pause, click the link down below, and you can sign up to the first earnings blueprint. You're gonna get a load of masterclass videos from me and Resub, as well as Muzz, and you're gonna get this full quiz that you can follow along with that explains exactly what is wrong with your binds. So the quiz starts off very simple. Can you triple edit consistently? And answer this for yourself as you're watching along. And obviously I can triple edit for Eddie Gafel, which means I get a green score. Binds completely fine for triple editing. Can you tap sprint whilst building? Again, this is a big thing whenever I coach people. They're never able to do this because their binds aren't set up correctly. For me though, I've got it on my mouse so I can very easily tap it while I'm building and doing everything else. So completely fine for me. Can you pull out your shotgun whilst moving to the left? This is actually a massive one that people struggle with. Is just having good movement while pulling out their guns, while pulling out their shotgun in specific. And moving to the left is really important. So you're doing good right hand peeks after you pull out your shotgun. And for me, completely fine because my shotgun is actually on the right of my keyboard, so I can always move to the left very, very easily. So absolutely perfect for me right there. If you go struggle with that, that means that you probably need to change out your shotgun bind to something else. Now, on question 4, this is when the quiz gets a little bit harder and you need to spend a bit of time thinking and actually, playing around a little bit and figuring out exactly what is your answer to this. So how many build binds do you have on your mouse? If you've got no build bounds on your mouse and you don't use your mouse for anything, that actually is really bad because you're sort of not making use of a whole extra hand that you've got while playing, and your keyboard hand is way too busy. If you've got way too much on your mouse, that's also bad. That's also gonna be incorrect. For me though, I've got 2 bounds on my mouse, so I'm gonna go ahead and get a green mark on this next. Now, for question 5, do your current building binds impact your movement whilst fighting? So I'd really recommend you guys take a second and think, have you ever had your binds impact your movement? Like while editing, do you move poorly? When pulling out your shotgun, when pickaxing? Is there anything that actually impacts your movement whilst fighting? Because in my opinion, movement is the biggest skill gap in this game. Pro with good movement like Peterbot or Venno will be so much harder to kill compared to a pro with bad movement, even if the other aspects of their game are absolutely perfect. So this is the first question where I actually sometimes have issues with my movement. Like when I'm double editing up cones and jumping, just because of the way my edit key is set up, I actually have some issues with that. So I'm going to go ahead and put sometimes, and the correct answer here is actually no, my movement is fine, of course. But for me, sometimes is incorrect, and that's actually one area of my binds that I need to improve. Now for question 6, this is where I'd actually really recommend that you guys take a second and think about this and figure out exactly how many binds do you press with your edit key. This is super important. If you're somebody that presses literally everything with your index finger, so let's say you edit with E, pretty common, or edit with F, and then you're also using, R, F, G, T, 4, 3, you're pressing so many other binds on your index finger. Of course, your index finger is very quick, but it's actually bad to have that many binds on your edit finger. It's going to slow down your edit speed. It's going to impact you while fighting. So the correct answer here is to have a maximum of 3 other binds on your edit finger. This is really, really important. Basically, all the top mechanical pros, they have very few binds on their edit finger, so they can concentrate on always having good edits and also having good movement as well. So right there, for me, got a green mark on question 6. Now let's move on to question 7. Now, this is a really big one. Can you wall replace whilst moving? Be swinging around the box, fluidly pickaxing, spraying, shotgunning, taking a wall without stopping or slowing down. This is genuinely so important, where a lot of people get this wrong. And some people, it will depend on the direction. Like they can do it fine to the left, but if they have to wall replace going to the right, that's when they struggle. That's when they can't stop to the AR. For me though, at the moment, my binds is set up in a way that I can actually do this no matter what's going on. So I'm going to get a green mark for that question right there. And then finally, are you easily able to place a cone and ramp whilst fighting wall to wall? So this is really, really important. Basically, cone and ramp are the 2 things that you always need to be able to very quickly press during a fight. So it shouldn't be impacted by your edit bind. So you shouldn't have your cone and ramp near your edit bind, because otherwise you can't edit and cone slide, for example. And this is where if you have cone or ramp, that's going to be a negative answer. So for me, I can actually do this because I've got it on my mouse. So I've got cone ramp on my mouse. So for me, the end of the quiz, that's going to be another green answer. And let's go ahead and review everything. So as you can see, I was pretty solid up until question 5, where my movement is impacted. So that's something I need to work on. And the rest of this quiz for me, because I spent a long time making this quiz, is absolutely perfect for my bind setup as well as just for general binds. And if any top pros want to go ahead and run through this quiz, I guarantee the majority of their binds will be pretty perfect in terms of green answers every single time. Now let's go and take a look at an example that one of the players that I coach actually sent me. He went through the quiz and he only got 3 out of 8 correct, which obviously means that his binds are a major issue. And as you can see, the biggest issue that he has with his binds is his movement. He can't move to the left while pulling out his shotgun. He's not enough build binds in his mouse. Like he's basically using his keyboard for everything. He has got, all of his building binds are impacting his movement, and he's just overloaded. Overloaded basically means that you're doing way too much with a single finger. The key to good binds, even if you're going going a little bit slower, like you're not going at maximum speed because you're using your index for everything, is that you're spread out using your pinky for things, using your mouse hand for things, using your thumb for things as well is very important. You're basically spreading out your binds across all of your different fingers, so no individual finger is doing too much. That is how you become overloaded, and that's also how you end up having bad movements. As you can see, he's not able to wall replace while moving because he literally can't even press D on his keyboard or W on his keyboard while actually playing the game, because he has to do everything else with those hands. All right, so hopefully at this point in the video, guys, you've done the quiz, you figured out what is wrong with your binds, you've got a couple red answers back that you want to fix up. So I'm going to show you guys exactly how to fix your binds. So the very first thing is that you come down to your bind setting and you make sure that you have got your sprint on something that you can really easily press and doesn't affect anything else. This is the #1 skill in Fortnite for a lot of high level mechanics, is just being able to tap sprint mid fight. Tap sprint every single time that you're moving a tile over is really important, and making use of sprint. It's going to make you way faster as a player, and it's going to massively increase your skill cap. So for me, I've got that on my middle mouse, which I don't use my middle mouse finger for anything apart from right click aiming. So absolutely perfect to have this on middle mouse. It's an absolutely perfect bind. If you don't have middle mouse available, I recommend even using shift, or you can use maybe alt on your keyboard or something like that. Just something that you can press that you don't use any other finger or thumb for is really good, and it's going to allow you to massively improve your skill gap. The next big thing is to come down a little bit more into your build binds down here and make sure you have 2 build bounds on your mouse. This is so important in my opinion. So many people, they've got 3 things on their index finger. You know, they're playing and they're using wall replaces with like Q, with F, with E, all these different binds over towards their left hand instead of spreading out between your 2 hands. And I would also just quickly, if you can and you're swapping your binds around, try to put your stairs and your roof binds, your cone and your ramp, on your mouse, because this means you can very easily and very fluidly roll your thumb across. And also, it's kind of not the best to have your wall bind on your mouse because it's a little bit harder to wall replace quickly with your mouse. However, for stairs and for cones, it's really easy to just very quickly press your mouse button. And also, the nice benefit of this is these 2 binds, you never really place them at the same time because they occupy the same spot in the building grid, if that makes sense. You never need to place a cone and a stair at the same time, so it doesn't actually clash with each other, which is why I think these are perfect to go next to each other in your binds. One very important thing if you guys are changing your binds at this point in the video is try to think about making sure your binds work in harmony together. So you don't want binds that clash. So let me just explain this very quickly with an example. So let's say I'm placing a wall. That is for me Q, which is going to be on my ring finger, so my left hand side of my keyboard. Then if I want to edit, it's now going to be with my thumb. So left alt, it's a little bit of a weird pick, but left alt is a really good bind for a lot of stuff just because it doesn't clash with anything else apart from spacebar. It's actually a pretty good bind to have for, you know, anything that you don't want, like sprint or whatever. It's a very good bind to use. So now when I edit and then I'm out like this, now my shotgun bind is E. So I can go ahead and press that, and it's 3 different fingers on the same hand that contribute into an action. So rather than having 3 actions on the same finger, which is really bad, it's gonna be really slow, even if you got maximum speed, instead, when I edit a wall, it's that quick. Does that make sense? So let me go ahead and show you guys what I mean by this. So come down into your binds and go ahead and take a look at all of your binds that you use on the left hand of your keyboard and basically figure out what is overlapping and what should be in harmony. So let's say, for example, your gun as well as your swap weapons, your shotgun and your SMG bind. These can be working in harmony. So you can have them pretty similar to each other because you're not pressing these at the same time. You're probably going to be pressing one and then swapping to the other, if that makes sense, which is completely fine. Same thing, let's say, for example, with a pickaxe. You don't want your pickaxe to be on the same finger as your gun binds, because then if you're wall replacing, you need to pull out your shotgun quickly. You're going to struggle to get across those 2 because they clash, if that makes sense. Again, same thing with your build binds down here. You don't want build binds that overlap with each other or clash with each other. Exact same thing with your build binds as well as your edit binds. You don't want build and edit binds that clash with each other because you need to be doing them at the same time as part of a sequence. So again, just like, you know, placing a floor, editing a floor, and then playing a shotgun, they should all be done with different fingers. If you're using the same finger, index finger normally for everything, you need to change your binds and spread them out so not overloaded. Now, one bind just quickly I think is super underrated and basically nobody uses is their repair bind. For some reason, people don't even have this bound and they don't even make use of it at all, or they have a really unoptimal key. I would recommend having this something very easily you can press. So for me, it's G. If you guys don't know what repair does, literally just tap it and it's going to heal up your wall back to full, and it uses a really small amount of mats. So it's down here, just in the build tab, as you can see, and I'd really recommend you put this on a key that you can press easily mid-fight. One of the best things about repair is whenever somebody's pickaxing on your wall or trying to go ahead and, you know, spray your wall to replace it, all you need to do is just tap G or tap whatever you've got it on, and it's going to heal up. And you can do this while popping minis, while popping bigs, while popping a blob. It's genuinely such an important keybind that you guys need to have available to you. Now, lastly, when it comes to swapping binds, don't swap everything at once. This is a massive mistake that people make, and it literally takes them like half a year or even up to a year to get back to their current skill level. Instead, Instead, what I'd recommend doing is identifying the problem bind. So are you overloaded on a single finger? Are you going ahead and, not using your mouse binds correctly? You're not having sprint on something? Are you not able to move while actually building and editing? All of these little simple things you can fix with maybe 1 to 2 bind swaps and just changing things around. And then I'll go ahead and show you guys a full routine that you can do to get better with your new binds as fast as possible and get back and above your previous skill level. Before we get onto the routine, let me show you guys some really important settings that you need to have on or off depending on what type of player you are in your setting right here. I get questions about the whole time. The first thing is to make sure that you turn the hold jump and press jump on the activations for the mantle and the hurdle, which basically means you're not going to be mantling around or hurtling around like an idiot by accident. It's really important to have those on the right hand setting. Next is to make sure you reset the building choice as well as disable pre-edits. Pre-edits are really bad to have on unless you're using them like in trio tournaments, for example. They're just going to mess up your mechanics. You're going to be accidentally pre-editing walls when you're tarping, things like that. Like you can just turn this on and it's basically going to save you all that headache. The next thing, simple edit is absolutely useless, don't even ask me about that. The next thing is, should you play edit and release on or off? And for me, I play edit and release on because I'm old. However, I would recommend literally just everybody stick to what they're on. There's no reason to be swapping around, faffing around with it. Instead, just play, fix your binds. That's the thing that's actually affecting you. And then play and improve, do the routine that I'm going to show in a second. And it's going to help you improve your mechanics. Regardless, you play edit and release on or off, it makes absolutely no difference in my mind. Some of the best players in the world, like Peter Bot and Bolt, all use edit and release on, as well as some really good players use edit and release off, like Vico. All right, so the very first step of this routine to get back to your current skill level and get above it is basically just whack up how much you're free building by at least double to triple. So let's say at the moment you free build 20 minutes a day, whack it up to 40, 45, maybe even an hour every single day. And also make sure no matter what bind you changed, you focus on using that bind as much as possible while building. So let's say, for example, I've just gone ahead and changed my shotgun bind and I want to practice that. I'm not just going to practice free building over and over. Instead, imagine there's somebody like, near you and you have to piece them up as you free build the entire time, and basically just practice using all your old binds in combination with your new binds. Don't just practice, pulling out your shotgun over and over. That's absolutely useless. Instead, practice doing old mechanics, like let's say, for example, a triple edit, and then practice pulling out your shotgun and doing a good peek straight away. Little things like that will massively help you improve as a player very, very quickly. Now, the next part of this routine, even though you might be tempted to hop into 1v1s versus your friends or go ahead and play some reload or ranked, it's just to genuinely hop into Raiders' new map right here and sit and just practice this map as much as possible until your mechanics are slowly getting used to the new binds. If you just went ahead and swapped up your edit bind, head over to this edit section. There's 2 things that I want you to do. First one is this edit wall where you basically practice the crosshair placement. Then the next one is these edit tunnels, basically where you practice editing really close proximity to get the timing down of your new edit bind. And if you're doing floor edits as well, you can do the wall edits. A lot of good stuff you can do in here. However, the majority of your practice in this map, head over to the peak section right here and make sure you turn on this peak practice that I mentioned in my last video. You can adjust the bot's health to whatever you want. I personally like having on that. And then go ahead and just play all and run through this as long as you can. It's such an important practice drill. So you get used to covering angles, get used to doing good peaks that you're going to be doing in game. Just little things like that are really important. So again, the general idea is to not go super fast like with the free building, and it's instead just to build up your speed over time and also make sure you're doing good peaks as you run through this map and you're not taking damage each time. Also, one of the best parts about this map is you get practice doing wall replaces as well as wall-to-wall fighting. And if you're not able to hit a max damage shot on the bot, it's going to start moving around and shooting you back, so you get a little bit more in-game practice at the same time as well. Now, the next thing that I'd actually recommend doing is doing public realistics or zone wars versus other people. You can just go ahead and go versus your friends straight away, but the issue, if your friends are half decent, you're probably just going to get shot on straight away. So if you do public matchmaking, you're going to go up against a variety of skill levels as well as not the best players a lot of the time, which is actually pretty good for you getting used to new binds. There's no point swapping your binds and getting shit on it for 2 weeks straight and then swapping back. That's just going to harm your progress in the long run. So for now, I would recommend just doing realistics versus random players, or zone wars, 32-man zone wars, little things in creative where it doesn't matter if you die, you can go ahead and respawn, and that's going to be really useful for getting used to your binds in game when it comes to in-game fighting. Now, the final thing I'd recommend doing once you swap your binds is literally just hopping in and playing some reloads. You can play solo, duo, squad, whatever you want to play. The main reason reload is so good is because there's really no repercussions. If you die, you just get to respawn, and there's you don't like lose rank or whatever. It's very simple, and if you're doing really bad and you're struggling a lot with a new binds, feel free to play ranked off. However, for majority of cases, I'd recommend doing ranked on and just practicing fighting versus half decent players, not the best players, but getting used to in-game fighting with your binds. And then over time, as you build up your confidence, you can start doing 1v1s versus your friends, 1v1s versus better players over time, as well as get used to using your new binds in tournaments.